Today's subject is slavery.
Welcome back to another video, everyone. This is the Lego Star Wars Jango Fett's Slave 1. That's right. Today we're going to be taking a look at Jango Fett's Slave 1. Because that's the name of the ship that was given to it, I guess, by George Lucas. I don't know who the fuck came up with the name. But as we are told in the lore of Star Wars, Jango Fett himself, when he was a prisoner, he was taken captive at some point during his life. I claim to be such a gigantic Jango Fett fan, but I don't even know like his backstory. But he was a prisoner at some point before he became a bounty hunter, because when he was a Mandalorian, and this is following like the kind of non-canon but also kind of canon storyline of him being a true Mandalorian before he was a bounty hunter. And I believe it was after there was this kind of like civil war between the Mandalorians, but it was two Mandalorian factions fighting each other. The side that Jango Fett was on was the true Mandalorians, and they basically got defeated and they had to kind of like disperse or whatever. And so Jango Fett after this got captured and he was like a prisoner somewhere. I'm not exactly sure of the timeline, but all I know is that at one point Jango Fett in the lore was a prisoner somewhere. I don't know, look it up, dude. Someone's got a YouTube video on it, and he called it the Slave One because he was like a slave prisoner or whatever. I guess the name was kind of like referring to himself in this kind of cathartic way, which I think is pretty cool. I think the Slave One has always been a really cool name for this ship. Jango Fett's Slave One and Boba Fett's Slave One is, you know, it's the same shit, just different paint job. It's always been one of my favorite ships in all of Star Wars. I love Jango Fett and Boba Fett. They're my favorite characters, and their ships are just really cool. They've always looked really cool, so I always love it when we can get new iterations of them in Lego. Unfortunately, this is my first one. This is my first Slave One, because all the other times, I don't know, I was a stupid kid and I just didn't save up my money. I don't know what you want me to say. And now that I have like all this adult money, they give us bullshit like downscaled, because more downscaled ships, the downscaled Slave Ones. There was the Boba Fett one from the Mandalorian, which I didn't get because it looks boring, and then now we got Jango Fett because in a set that is under like, I don't know, $500, because he has to be in like super expensive sets all the time. He's really rare. So we finally get a Jango Fett minifigure once again. We get Lama Su, which is really cool because we never got him in a minifigure before. He's like the Prime Minister, the leader of the Kaminoans that we see in Attack of the Clones. And we of course got young Boba Fett, which is a dog shit minifigure. We hate him. 707 pieces in this set. This is a $70 Lego set here. And for 707 pieces, I think that's a pretty good price to part ratio. 3 minifigures that are pretty good. I think that's a good price to part ratio. Now we're going to take a look at the build, and I'm going to say something kind of different because I don't think it all adds up. And I also love the box art here. You know, we got Geonosis in the background, the rings of Geonosis. You know, very nostalgic for me. I love Attack of the Clones. Taking a look at the back, we see Kamino and all the play features. And that's the box, basically. And the box is just so important. I don't know why I decided to go so in depth with it this time. And here we have the Slave One itself, and it does come with this little stand which doubles as like this utility cart that you can have pushed around. This is as much time as I'm gonna take to look at it. It's just a utility cart. There's a little crate in the middle. There's some controls. You can place a minifig on there, and you stand it up and just slot it into the back of the ship like so, and it's like a little stand, which is really cool. But this is literally the same exact set. It's just recolored to look like the Jango Fett paint job, and I don't know how I feel about that because I really don't like this build. I don't think it looks bad. I think if you just look at it from the standpoint of like a miniaturized Slave One build, it's cool. I think it looks okay. You know, it looks accurate and everything. It's like this cool, you know, looking at it, you know, at a distance, it's a cool looking little model to have like on display on your shelf or something. I think the colors are cool. The stickers are cool. The pieces that they use are cool. I think it's a good looking model, but compared to the previous Slave One sets we've got, you know, I'm referring to the, you know, the last Boba Fett Slave One we got that was like a full play scale. It wasn't the Mandalorian one. It was the Empire Strikes Back one. You know what I'm talking about. I think it was the 20th anniversary actually of Lego Star Wars. That should be what it was. And I never got that set because I was a retarded child. I look at the previous Slave One sets and I just think, why are we getting them downscaled? And like, why not just keep making like $130, $150 Slave Ones that are at those same size, and you can still, you know, have somewhat of an interior for the set? Because while this is a really cool looking set, and I thought building it was fun and everything, the only interior you get is this. That's it. And you can place Boba Fett in here in the back. You put him at the very back. He's just slotted in right there. He looks kind of anxious. You know, maybe he's a little bit claustrophobic like I am. And then you put Jango Fett down right there. You go right there. So you really got to like squeeze them, and you got to put them in a really specific way. And that's how they look. And then you have to put Jango Fett's rangefinder all the way down. And it's just a very cramped fit. There's not even any control panel, whatever. The canopy goes down. And it just looks very awkward, especially if, you know, you had those previous Slave 1 sets. They look like a more imposing and like just cooler ship when you have more room for the minifigures, because this just looks like some really small ass weapon platform. It doesn't look like a starship, you know what I mean? And so I just think it's really disappointing that we have such a small interior and that the set itself is so small. The only other thing is you open up this thing at the bottom and you can put these seismic charges in there. You get 2 in this set, but I lost one, so now there's only 1. And then you lift that down, and you can push this button on the end right here, and it drops out the seismic charge. So it is pretty cool that you can get that seismic charge feature in this set, even though it's so small. Aside from that, that's pretty much all you can do. Here's what the back looks like. You know, kind of rough. I don't know, there's just not much I have to say about the build because there's not a whole lot going on with the build. And this is one of my favorite ships from Star Wars. It's just really disappointing that I now have to go spend like $300 to get like an actual good version of this set when we're in 2025 and you could be doing a really good Slave 1 set at a play scale, you know, that's not UCS, but they just choose not to. And it's just $70 for something that you can barely do anything with. And I don't know, I don't really love that. But once again, it's like a decent display piece. I think it looks okay. And then of course, taking a look at those minifigures, because they are pretty important in this set. This is the first time in a while that we've gotten a brand new Jango Fett minifigure. Of course, he does not have the arm printing. Great Jango Fett minifigure. He really lights me up on the inside. He makes me feel warm and wet. And then we've got a child. This is a young Boba Fett. As I said before, we hate him. He just has a really horrible hairpiece. It looks like Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I don't know why the fuck they use this hairpiece on him when they already have a perfect hairpiece that they could be using. It's the one that they used in what was that set? The Jedi Starfighter with Hyperdrive ring. I don't know why they didn't use the same hairpiece, but I guess, I don't know if he's slightly new because he's got the new skin tone. He's like slightly less Caucasian this time. That's cool. And then you got an alternate face print, and I guess everything else looks cool on this figure. I don't know. Jango Fett does have face print underneath. Looks really cool. He's got an alternate one right there. And you also, for I think the first time ever, you get a hairpiece for Jango Fett. And so you can really get that Tamora Morrison likeness right there. That's very cool. Of course, we've never seen that before, but I think it's cool that we finally get a hairpiece for him. And then finally, this is the highlight of the set. It's the only exclusive minifigure. This is what the fuck? Lama Su. The Kaminoan Prime Minister. The only other Kaminoan minifig we got is, I forgot this bitch's name, but she's the other Kaminoan that was kind of like the guide or the emissary or whatever for Obi-Wan when he first pulled up. But we got her in that Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Starfighter set, which is kind of like a cool companion set for this one, because the scenes correlate and all that. But the Lama Su minifigure is really good. I love the purple and the white printing. I just think it's a really cool looking minifigure. That unique headpiece is also really cool, and it's a really awesome minifigure. It's really cool. It's very cool, and it's very cool. But yeah, dude, that's gonna about do it for this video. That's just the Jango Fett Slave 1 from 2025. It's the play scale version. I don't have the UCS yet. I will get it momentarily. Be watching out for that. All in all, though, I do really like this set. I just think it's, you know, the $70 price tag is really, it's a struggle for me because there's not a whole lot you can do with this set. It's just a miniature Slave 1. It looks good. The minifigs are cool, but is something that looks cool worth $70? Also, now that I'm thinking about it, there is a handle in the back so you can hold on to that and kind of swoosh the ship around. Which I guess, you know what, that totally makes it worth $70. I changed my mind. This set is a 10 out of 10. You should definitely go out there and spend $70 of your own money on this set right now. But that's gonna about do it for this one. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one.